Alaoma was a village that thrived under the watchful eyes of the gods, or so the elders said. It was nestled in a valley carved by time, with hills that rolled like waves and a river that shimmered like liquid silver under the moonlight. This river, called Udu, was believed to be the lifeblood of the village, a gift from the gods that connected Alaoma to the spirit world. Life in the village revolved around the changing seasons, each marked by festivals, rituals, and sacrifices to ensure the land remained fertile and the people prosperous. At the heart of Alaoma stood the Rainmaker's compound. It was no ordinary home. Its clay walls bore intricate patterns painted with sacred chalk, depicting stories of the gods and their covenant with the Rainmaker's lineage. The villagers often gathered outside this compound, especially during periods of uncertainty, looking to the Rainmaker for guidance. To them, he was more than a man. He was the bridge between mortals and the divine, his chance able to summon rain from barren skies or appease spirits with the right offering. Adana, the Rainmaker's daughter, had inherited her father's charisma and the people's adoration. Her beauty was legendary, her skin the color of sunlit earth, and her smile like the first light of dawn after a stormy night. Yet there was a fire in her spirit that few could understand. While the villagers saw her as a future matriarch destined to uphold tradition, Adana dreamed of freedom. She wanted a life where her choices were her own, not dictated by duty or the expectations of others. Her father, however, saw things differently. To him, Adana's marriage was not just about love, but about maintaining harmony within the village. The elders had long since decided that Okafor, the chief's son, was the ideal match. Okafor was tall and commanding, his presence filling any room he entered. He was proud of his heritage and ambitious in his plans to expand Alaoma's influence. Yet for all his outward appeal, Okafor lacked the humility and kindness that Adana valued. To her, he was a man driven by his own ego, incapable of understanding her heart. In contrast, there was Ease. A hunter by trade, Ease lived on the fringes of the village's social hierarchy. His family had fallen from prominence generations ago, and though he was admired for his bravery and skill, he was seen as an outsider in the politics of Alaoma. Eze was everything Okafor was not: humble, witty, and deeply connected to the land. While Okafor sought to control his surroundings, Easy moved with them, his steps as natural as the flowing river. Adana's first meeting with Easy occurred during the dry season, a time when the river Udu was at its lowest. She had gone to fetch water for her family's evening rituals, her steps light and purposeful. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden glow over the landscape. Adana knelt by the water, her reflection rippling as she dipped her calabash into the shallows. Unbeknownst to her, Ez was nearby, crouched in the tall grass, observing a flock of guinea fowl. He had been tracking them for hours, his bow and arrow at the ready. As he prepared to take his shot, the birds startled, scattering in a flurry of wings. Eze looked up, annoyed, only to see Adana standing at the riverbank, her figure framed by the sunlight. He paused, captivated. She turned, sensing his presence, and their eyes met for the first time. "Are you hunting birds or shadows, hunter?" Adana called, her tone playful yet commanding. Easy stepped out from the brush, his expression sheepish. "I was hunting birds, but it seems I've stumbled upon something far more elusive." Adana raised an eyebrow, a small smile playing on her lips. "And what might that be?" Eze hesitated for a moment, then said, "The courage to speak to you." Their conversation flowed easily, a surprising connection forming between them. Adana was intrigued by Easy's honesty and humor, while Easy found himself drawn to her intelligence and the warmth in her laughter. Though their worlds were miles apart, something unspoken passed between them, a spark that neither could deny. In the weeks that followed, Adana and Easy began meeting in secret. Their rendezvous took place by the river, beneath the ancient trees of the forest, and in the quiet corners of the village during festivals. With each stolen moment, their bond deepened. Ezzy shared stories of his hunts, his adventures in the forest, and his dreams of a life unbound by the rigid traditions of Alioma. Adana, in turn, spoke of her longing for freedom and her fear of disappointing her father. "You are like the river, Adana," Ezzy told her one evening as they sat beneath a moonlit sky. "Strong, beautiful, and unyielding. You deserve to flow where your heart leads you." Adana smiled, but her eyes were heavy with worry. "And yet the river cannot choose its path. It is bound by the land, just as I am bound by my father's will." Their love was a fragile thing, growing against the tide of tradition and expectation. But love, no matter how carefully hidden, has a way of revealing itself. It was during the festival of the new moon that whispers of their love reached the Rainmaker. The festival was a grand affair, with drumming, dancing, and feasting that lasted deep into the night. Adana, as always, was the center of attention, her movements graceful and captivating. But the Rainmaker noticed her eyes wandering to the edges of the crowd, where Easy stood watching. After the festival, the Rainmaker confronted Adana in the privacy of their compound. His voice was stern, but tinged with sadness. "Adana, have you forgotten who you are? You are the daughter of the Rainmaker, the pride of this village. Your actions bring shame to our family." Adana knelt before him, her voice trembling but firm. "Father, I cannot control where my heart leads me. Ease is not unworthy. He is kind, brave, and honest." "He is a hunter," the Rainmaker said sharply. "A man with no standing, no future. Okafor will bring stability to this village. He will bring honor to our family." "I do not love Okafor," Adana said, her voice breaking. "I cannot marry him." The Rainmaker's face darkened. "You will marry Okafor, or you will lose the blessings of this family and the spirits themselves." Adana left the compound that night, her heart heavy with despair. As the dry season dragged on, the rains failed to return. The fields cracked under the relentless sun, and the river Udu grew dangerously low. The villagers grew restless, their faith in the Rainmaker shaken. Okafor seized the opportunity to strengthen his position, claiming that his union with Adana would restore the balance. The Rainmaker, desperate to regain the people's trust, agreed to the marriage. The date was set, and preparations began. Adana felt her world closing in around her, her dreams slipping away like water through her fingers. Eza, hearing of the impending marriage, was filled with anger and determination. One night, he met Adana by the river. "I will not let them take you from me," he vowed. "I will go to the spirit forest and retrieve Amadioha's feather. With it, I will prove to your father and the elders that our love is worthy." Adana's eyes filled with tears. "The spirit forest is a place of death, Ez. No one who enters it returns." "Then let the spirits judge me," Ez said. "If my love for you is true, they will let me pass." Adana embraced him, her tears falling like the rain they both prayed for. "Promise me you will return," she whispered. "I promise," Ezzy replied, though he knew the path ahead would test him like never before. The spirit forest was no ordinary place. Its boundaries were marked by towering Iroko trees, their roots sprawling like the claws of ancient guardians. The villagers whispered that the forest was alive, its trees listening, its shadows shifting to confound intruders. Only the most desperate or foolish dared to enter. Ezzy stood at its edge, gripping his bow and a small satchel containing a calabash of palm wine and cola nuts for an offering. His heart pounded, but his resolve was firm. Behind him lay Alaoma and the life he had always known. Before him, a realm of mystery and danger. He took his first step, whispering a prayer to Amadioha, the god of justice and storms, whose feather he sought. The forest seemed to draw him in, its air heavy with the scent of earth and ancient trees. Each step felt like a challenge, the path winding and unfamiliar. As he ventured deeper, the forest tested him. The first trial came in the form of whispers, soft, mocking voices that seemed to rise from the ground itself. "Turn back, hunter," the voices said. "You are unworthy of the Rainmaker's daughter. You are but dust beneath the feet of the gods." Ezi paused, his hands trembling. But then he thought of Adana's face, her laughter, and the strength in her eyes. He clenched his fists and shouted into the void, "I am not unworthy. My love for Adana will guide me through." The whispers faded, replaced by a deafening silence. Ezi pressed on. Back in Alayoma, preparations for Adana's wedding to Okafor moved forward with relentless speed. The village buzzed with activity as women wove intricate patterns into her bridal wrapper and the men brewed gallons of palm wine for the celebration. Adana, however, was drowning in despair. Her father, sensing her resistance, kept a watchful eye on her. She was forbidden from leaving the compound, her every movement monitored. Yet Adana's heart remained defiant. She knew Eze would return, and she clung to that hope like a lifeline. One evening, Okafor visited her in her father's compound. Dressed in regal agbada embroidered with gold thread, he exuded an air of entitlement. "Adana," he said, his voice smooth but cold, "you should be honored to become my wife. Together, we will bring glory to Alayoma." Adana met his gaze, her voice steady but laced with quiet fury. "Glory means nothing if it comes at the cost of my freedom." Okafor's smile faltered, replaced by a flicker of irritation. "Freedom? What freedom do you speak of? You are the Rainmaker's daughter, bound by duty. Love is a luxury you cannot afford." Adana turned away, unwilling to show him the tears welling in her eyes. Deep in the forest, Eze faced his second trial. The path ahead was blocked by a massive python, its scales shimmering like liquid bronze. It coiled and uncoiled, its eyes glowing with an unnatural light. "To pass," the python hissed, "you must offer something of great value." As he reached into his satchel, pulling out the calabash of palm wine and the cola nuts, he placed them on the ground, bowing low. "Take these as my offering, Great Spirit," he said. The python studied him for a moment before laughing, a sound that echoed eerily through the trees. "You think trinkets will appease me? No, hunter. Your offering must come from the heart." Ezi froze, his mind racing. Then he understood. Slowly, he removed his hunting bow, the one his late father had crafted for him as a boy. It was his most prized possession, the last link to his family. "I offer you this," he said, his voice breaking. "May it serve you as faithfully as it served me." The python hissed its approval and slithered aside, revealing a narrow path. Ezi stepped forward, feeling the weight of his sacrifice but resolute in his mission. As Ezi journeyed deeper into the forest, Okafor grew suspicious of Adana's lingering hope. He began to suspect that she had another lover, someone who dared to challenge his claim. Determined to uncover the truth, Okafor bribed one of the Rainmaker's servants to spy on Adana. The servant, driven by greed, revealed that Adana had been seen meeting Eze by the river on several occasions. Furious, Okafor confronted the Rainmaker, demanding that Eze be punished. "This hunter has insulted my honor and the honor of Alayoma," Okafor declared. "He must pay for his insolence." The Rainmaker, torn between his love for his daughter and his duty to tradition, reluctantly agreed. A search party was sent into the forest to find Eze and bring him back to face judgment. At the heart of the spirit forest, Eze reached a clearing where an enormous iroko tree stood. Its branches stretched to the heavens, and at its base lay a single, luminous feather. Amadioha's feather. As Ezi approached, a shadowy figure emerged from the tree's roots. It was a spirit, its form shifting between human and animal. To take the feather, the spirit said, you must face your deepest fear. Ezi hesitated, unsure of what form this trial would take. Suddenly the spirit transformed into Adana, her face contorted with anger and pain. You left me, the apparition accused. You abandoned me to my fate. Ezi's heart ached. That is not true, he said. I am here for you. I would face the gods themselves for you. The apparition's expression softened, and the spirit resumed its true form. Your love is true, it said. Take the feather and go. Ezi grasped the feather, its warmth filling him with newfound strength. As Ezi emerged from the forest, the skies above Alaoma darkened. Thunder rumbled, and the long-awaited rain began to fall. The villagers gathered in awe, their faith in the Rainmaker restored. Ezi returned to the village just as the search party reached the forest's edge. Clutching Amadioha's feather, he stood before the Rainmaker and the elders. This is my proof, Ezi declared. My love for Adana is worthy, and the gods have blessed it. The Rainmaker, moved by Iza's courage and the miracle of the rain, finally relented. You have proven yourself, Ize, he said. I will not stand in the way of your love. The village rejoiced as Adana and Ize were united. Their love became a symbol of hope and resilience, inspiring future generations to challenge the boundaries of tradition and follow their hearts. Okafor, defeated and humiliated, left Alaoma, vowing to rebuild his honor elsewhere. Under the first clear skies in months, Adana and Eze stood by the river hand in hand, ready to build a life together, one rooted in love, courage, and the blessings of the gods.